Rabbi Manis Friedman, hello. Thank God it's Tuesday. It's amazing to see you at this time every Tuesday. We're waiting for this moment. We're waiting to get us inspired, get some answers that are that we all have in our crazy world. And of course, we always have to be with the times. So the times are dictating to us to speak about money because we have heard a lot of news about bank crashes in the last 2 days, and possibly more are coming, and the fact that money might become obsolete, that this, I don't know, a lot of things are being said. So my question is, in accordance to the Torah, in accordance to our Jewish wisdom, can the world exist without money?
Well, with a little bit of imagination. From the prediction that in the days before Mashiach, there will be a lack of coins in the pocket. Yeah, something is happening with money. Money is having its own little crisis. I'm not sure that it's our crisis. But for most of history, in order to have what we need, we needed money, or gold, or silver, or diamonds. Is there a way that we can have everything we need without money? Well, that would be a great idea. Like, skip the middleman. Why do I have to make money to buy a house? Why can't I just have a house? Why do I need money to buy food? Why can't I just have food? Will the world be better off without money? Probably. How did we become so dependent on money? Oh, I don't know. We stopped being farmers, so we don't make our own food. So we have to buy food, we have to barter. And the most convenient way of bartering is by having a little piece of paper that says this is worth $10 or this is worth $100. So there was, this very ambitious plan about a world monetary system. Instead of every country having its own dollars or yens or pesos or whatever, shekels, there should be one coin, there should be one universal. It didn't work out too good. But how about no coins? The whole world functioning without money. It would be an improvement. If we could find a way, it would be great. So here's what we're told. Before Mashiach comes, there will be a shortage of cash. We'll all be out of cash. I don't know if that means you live on your credit card, whatever. I don't know. But once Mashiach comes, then everything will be so abundantly available, you won't need money.
I do have to ask, cash or money? Because now we're going in very many different directions when it comes to money.
Well, it's like the comedian who says, cash is almost as good as money. It's the same thing. So, yeah, it would be very nice. And I think that what's going on, this little crisis here with what's doing with the money, this may be the catalyst that launches us into a non-money lifestyle. I don't know how that works or what that's going to look like, but it would be a good thing. Be a big relief. Leave us with a lot of free time. And wouldn't that be nice?
Very nice, and it would make us a lot nicer as well. Rabbi Friedman, is the money the idol of our times? Is that what it became? And if yes, how long ago how did we miss that?
It's been an idol for a very long time, and people have been killing for gold. I mean, gold was the idol. That was the ultimate. The gold rush. People heard there was gold. Everybody ran. It's one of the idols for sure. But it's also a dependency, an unhealthy hang-up. We're obsessed with it. That's not good. If we could get rid of that obsession, we would be so much healthier. So I'm looking forward to, where is this leading? Where is this going?
I think we all are at this point, because we understand what money has done to the world, and we're seeing it in every corner of the world right now. So the question is then, should people go crazy right now, as we're being told by some, hurry up, buy gold, buy silver, buy copper, invest into bitcoins, nothing else is going to be around. Is that something people should start doing right away? Is that the way to prepare for no money world?
I'm not sure that that's no money. That is money. Before we had dollar bills, we had gold coins. Before we had gold coins, we had gold nuggets. It's the same thing. No, there needs to be something better than that. I'm going to exchange copper coins for silver coins. That's not an improvement. Or silver for gold, or gold for platinum. I don't want to. An interesting thing. I'm reading this magazine. Looking back at COVID, and they give you all these statistics, and one of the statistics of what COVID did, it strengthened families, strengthened relationships. We've been talking about this for 3 years already, that's what COVID is going to do. Oh, but now they realize, now they have the proof, the evidence, the census. So they did a big study on the subject, and they found out that yes, it did help. But you didn't see that? You don't know any couples? Why do we have to wait for some official announcement? We knew this 3 years ago. We live in the world, and we know what's going on in the world. We don't need some newscaster to tell us. So everybody thought it was going to be a disaster. But it was never going to be a disaster. It's just people think so negatively and so pessimistically, and everything's going to be a disaster. Would it be terrible to think that this is a good development? There is nothing to be afraid of? I think so. I think it's a good thing.
Somewhere deep down, it does feel like a good thing, I have to say. Absolutely. Kind of interesting to see how this is going to all pan out, because that gold rush of our times has made people super insane, and it would be nice to be done and over with that. However, it's a little bit confusing of how one should behave when we're in this kind of limbo. I mean, realistically, it's not really over, and we still need money. We still have to pay for stuff. At the same time, we don't have much control of what is about to take place, and we know that there's more going to happen. I mean, I'm sure people are feeling it. There has to be, this is 2 banks, but there's a lot more banks in the world, and we have been hearing, we all know that it's a bubble. We all know it. We all know that there is a lot more money printed than there is supported by, something substantial. We all understand this, just like we understand things about other things, about COVID, January 6th. We all knew about all of those things, and now it's all coming to light. So it's going to come fully to light about money as well. However, how should one behave at this point? On one hand, we still have to go to work and pay for stuff. Try to do our best to protect what we have. But still, it's kind of weird. it's kind of confusing.
Life goes on. Again, going back to COVID, people thought not going to work is going to be a disaster. People will starve. There'll be dead bodies in the streets. It never happened. So stop with the panicking. People are going to manage. There's enough wealth in the world without money. Yeah, like that famous quote from this chassid who had a butcher store here in the neighborhood. And another butcher store opened up. And his friends, the friends of the first butcher, came to him and said, "Oh, this is so terrible. He's going to take away your customers." And he said, "Customers, let him have them. They're a pain in the neck. I don't need customers. I just need what to eat. I just need, what. So let him take the customers. Just give me the goods." And that comes from God, not from customers. So, we got to stop this silly panic instinct. We're not panicking. Here's what I think is happening, and I'm saying it because I think a lot of people are already noticing it. So it's not going to be even questionable. Communism collapsed. Have you heard about it?
A little bit here and there.
Yeah. That was a while ago. More recently, democracy collapsed. Right? I mean, that democracy collapsed.
I agree.
Most recently, secularism collapsed. It's collapsing. What we're seeing is the death throes of secular thinking. That's it. It imploded. Nobody killed it. They killed themselves. Men can have babies. Women are not women. Only men are women. Okay, it's over. You're finished. Look what's happening in Israel. The secular segment of the population are freaking out. They're protesting, they're screaming, they're going to leave the country. They can't imagine anything worse happening than the country becoming traditional. In other words, the secular lifestyle has collapsed. They don't have children. They don't have a reason to have children. They don't know what their lives are all about. They have nothing to live for except to fight religion or, not that religion is perfect either. We've talked about that plenty. But the secular is not an alternative. It's not a life. It's not a life. There are no relationships. There are no children. There's no future. There's nothing. It's over. It imploded on itself. And it knows it. The people sense that it's over. And that's why they're going crazy. It's happening in Israel, and it's happening in the United States, and probably in other countries as well. The secular ideal, which is the other idol next to money, all the idols are dying. That's a good thing.
It's an amazing thing, but kind of like not fast enough.
Right. You still have to be patient, and that's annoying.
Rabbi Friedman, is it okay to come out of the closet now as a money hater? Because somehow we were not really, I'm saying this for a reason. I know it sounds strange, but we weren't really allowed to hate money because we needed money. We still need money. However, I'm sorry, I'm coming out of the closet as a money hater. I've always been since my childhood. I saw what it did to people. I could not stand how it messed with people's values and how people were willing to give up everything important in order to have it. And, it affected my entire generation for sure. And I'm sure the generation, I don't know, I'm going to talk about my generation. For sure, it affected our generation. And realistically, I never were allowed to say it because it made a lot of people in my family angry. But I truly am. I've been always a money hater. Is it okay to start being a money hater publicly? Is it okay to come out as a money hater?
Nobody will complain. Yeah. But interesting, in the Torah it says, God told Moshe to appoint leaders. Who should he choose as leaders? So God describes the qualities that it takes to be a leader, right? They have to be wise, they have to be smart, they have to be knowledgeable, they have to be patient, they have to be just, they have to be honest, and they have to hate money. So Moshe went and he gathered a group of people, appointed them as leaders, people who were wise and smart and noble and patient, but it didn't say they hated money. He couldn't find that. He couldn't, from all the great people, he could not find anyone who hated money. And this is 4,000 years ago.
If they have openings, I'd like to send my resume.
So God said to find, so eventually we will find, awesome. Even if it takes 4,000 years. But, that's exactly what it's called, Sonei Betza, people who hate money.
It's interesting that Chabad has a very interesting approach when it comes to money. It doesn't count on it. It doesn't have an accounting system. It just sends its representatives to different parts of the world where there are no Jews, no supporters, no funding, no anything. And somehow everybody is okay. They establish themselves there. Realistically, intellectually, it doesn't make sense, but it happens. How can we explain that? Because for me, it has been like the first miracle that I've noticed of our times that shouldn't happen, but that's how it is.
Yeah, that's true. No, so the Hasidic or the Chabad attitude is not to hate money because that gives it too much importance. If money is useful, have some money. If money will get you what you need to do your job, so get some money. We're not anti-money. But nobody worships money, nobody depends on money. And that started in Russia. Chabad in Russia never had money. And yet it intimidated the entire Soviet Union. They were terrified of the Chabad, of the Schneier. What did they call them? The Schneier Sonists. Without money. So we managed to run the biggest underground system, fighting the government. And when money was necessary, they found money. But they never depended on it. So it's not a love relationship and it's not a hate relationship. If it's useful, use it. Like everything else. It's if you have is good, if you don't have, also good. So it's kind of a neutral, parav attitude. But the collapse of the idols, we're coming up to Pesach, the first thing that happened, the 10 plagues, each plague destroyed another idol that the Egyptians worshipped, and they had plenty. The biggest idol, of course, was the Nile, the river. So the first plague was that the river turned to blood. They depended on the river for everything, because the river would overflow and water all the fields, and that's where they got their food from, because it doesn't rain there. So they depended on the Nile, and they worshipped it, and they thought that the Nile had a will of its own, and when it's in a good mood, it waters the fields, and if it were in a bad mood, it would refuse to water. So they worshipped it, and they sacrificed to it, and they whatever they did there. When it turned to blood, well, blood is not good for the crops. Blood doesn't make things grow in the fields. And besides, all the fish died, and it smelled horribly. And so the idol was permanently destroyed. Nobody worships the Nile anymore. So like every idol, sooner or later, it turns on you, and it disappoints you, and it disgusts you. So this is what's happening with money. You're actually hating it. It turned to blood. So all of the idols are one by one collapsing. The political idols, the philosophical idols, the self-worship, it's all collapsing by itself. Nobody's out crusading against it, effectively anyway. It's just destroying itself. All the idols are imploding because, like communism, it can't. There's no truth to it. There's nothing solid about it. There's no substance to it, so it can't. How long can you keep lying?
Rabbi Friedman, it was always said that money was the hardest test for everybody, that the test of money was the hardest test. Is that true, or is it something that people just think about money?
I don't think it's the hardest. The test of poverty is pretty devastating. But we mastered it. We were poor for so long that we handled it. So it doesn't scare us as much as a new challenge, which we've never handled before, or at least not for a long time, which is wealth. But I don't think it's a harder challenge. On the contrary. Reb Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev said to God, I know you're testing us, but enough already with this test. Give us a new test. We've proven that we remain loyal even in poverty. Now test us with affluence and see how well we do. It should be easier, because life is easier. So, of course, there's a corrupting element. But like the internet, where we thought it was the biggest evil in the world, turns out it's also the biggest blessing in the world. So, strengthen the good side and the bad side goes away like every other idol.
Rabbi Friedman, in preparation for Passover, which is already in only a couple of weeks, with everything that's going on in the world, should we be doing something different than what we usually do? Is there something that we can do maybe more? Obviously, we have to clean our houses, get rid of all the bread, the chametz, and, kind of turn ourselves around a little bit. But with everything that's happening in the world, can we implement something more this year than we usually do?
I think we will, without needing to be told, because the movement right now, the mood in the air is towards a more godly life. People sat by a Seder for all these years, with taking the whole thing with a grain of salt. Yeah, you nibble on a little matzah, you sing Dayenu, but nothing serious. We're not really keeping Pesach. We're just going to have a little Seder, a meal, nice, family, whatever. We get to argue over the around the table. I think this year it's going to be a little more meaningful, because COVID did its job. Secularism is not appealing anymore. So this flippant attitude, I don't believe anything, I just do what I want, and my life is wonderful. No, it's not wonderful. We're headed for a disaster, even a biological disaster. Men are not men, operations would be no children. It's so strange. Now we discovered that men can have babies too, but nobody's going to. You would think now that men can also have babies, we'd have twice as many babies. No. So, everybody notices and everybody knows, either consciously or just subconsciously, the only people who are going to exist 20 years from now are the people who are having families and having babies and raising them with a love of life, with a respect for life. The secular world is just gone. It's over. And that's why people are moving back to traditional values. There is no life without it. And we don't have to argue, we don't have to scream, we don't have to threaten. Every idol collapses sooner or later. And it's collapsing. And it's frightening. But we know the answer. Well, look around. There are people right next door who do have a life, who do have a family, who do have a reason to wake up in the morning. It's not out of reach. It's available, the answer. So people will go for it. An interesting thought. We were just talking about this the other day. In this week's Torah portion, we read about the last week's Torah portion. We read about the golden calf. The people stood at Mount Sinai. God said, make no graven images. 40 days later, they made a graven image. And commentaries, the rabbis have been trying for centuries to explain how that's possible. What's wrong with the people that... One of the best explanations is that they were making a covenant. God said, will you be my people? And we said, yes. And then we thought, wait a minute. What did we just do? Do you know what kind of responsibility that is? How dangerous that is? If you sign on to worship God, to serve God, to be a partner with God, if you mess up, This is dangerous. And so right after hearing the commandments, someplace in the back of their minds, they thought, let's get this over with. Let's commit a sin and see what happens, because can we survive this? So they committed a sin and expected that it would be over. You're no good. You're not going to be my partner. I don't want you. I don't need you. What happened? What happened is that God got very angry for a while, and then he forgave. And he said to Moshe, prepare some tablets. I'll write the commandments a second time. The same thing I wrote the first time. We'll replace them, and we'll start all over again. And not only that, build me a sanctuary so that I can dwell among you. That's like a couple who were engaged, and then something went wrong, and it was going to be called off. But they worked it out, they settled it, and they went ahead and got married, and they moved in together. So God says, for a moment there I thought we're going to end this relationship. But no. Let's repair the tablets, get a new set, and build me a house. I'll live with you in your world. Just wondering what's happening in the Christian world. Original sin, somebody has to die for your sin. They picked the biggest sin intentionally. They needed to know. If you're in a relationship with God, if you make a commitment to God and you mess up, what's going to happen? You can't live with this hanging over your head. So first they said, oh, sure, yes. Oh, we'll do whatever you say. And we're like, what did we just promise? We're human beings. We're not going to do whatever God says. So we need to find out now, what happens if we blow it? Well, we found out. The biggest sin of all, God can forgive. There is forgiveness. So what's with this sin sacrificing his son for the... We already see very clearly there's no bigger sin than idolatry. And if you ask for forgiveness nicely, God forgives you.
So we kind of have a bright future ahead of us.
So, the rethinking, everything is being re-examined and renewed and refreshed. And let's take a second look. What's going on? Because the way we're doing it is not so nice, and it's not so effective, and it's not working. We have to rethink almost everything. And that's how the world repairs itself.
Rabbi
Recalculating.
Do we have a deadline on this?
I wish. But people are unpredictable, and you can't push it, you can't rush it, and you can't force it. So, yeah, we still have to be patient, and that's the hardest part of this whole thing. But we do need to know the world is really resetting itself from all its mistakes for all of human history, and we're going to have a much better, healthier, wiser, and more godly world. No question.
Rabbi Friedman, we can't ask for better news than that. So thank you for this amazing, amazing inspiration which you provide for us on a weekly basis. It's absolutely priceless. And I don't know. I guess we all have to just be a little bit more patient. Hopefully it's just a little bit, not a lot.
Yeah, patient but not passive.
Well, this time does not allow us to be passive. We have a lot of preparations to do, and I hope that things are going to be moving along the way they are moving along. So we do see a lot of difference, but hopefully we'll speak more about the holiday of Passover in the next 2 weeks and see how we can reset ourselves in preparation for such a tremendous holiday of truly of freedom and liberation. Hopefully the calendars are sinking in, our calendar, the general calendar, and maybe we'll see the real redemption this year.
The complete redemption.
Amen.
That's what we're impatient. The redemption is happening, but how long does it take to finish, to complete, to... Really all it is, like, communism was dead 30, 40 years ago. Nobody admitted it. That's the only problem. It was over, but nobody would admit it until Gorbachev. He didn't change anything. He simply said, hey, guys, it's over. You can't keep denying it. It's over when it's over, and it's over. And the same thing with all of these things. The secular, really, people are going to continue arguing that men can have babies. If it's over, just announce the death and bury it. What is this stubbornness? Keeping this thing alive when it's already dead.
I wonder whose job it is to make this announcement. Rabbi Friedman, you kind of did it today, but I don't know if enough people heard it.
Yeah.
Rabbi Friedman, thank you so much. This is absolutely amazing. Thank you for this clarity, for the positivity, for the real wisdom that we unfortunately sometimes don't have ourselves because we're a little bit too busy and a little bit too scared of everything that is happening. So, God willing, we won't have to be scared anymore very soon. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and have a wonderful week. And until hopefully next, thank God it's Tuesday.
Thank you.